I have been working my ass off for a really long time. Hey, this is Alissa White-Gluz from Blue Medusa, and you're watching Heavy Consequence.
First off, obviously the big decision last year, you were the lead singer of a very prominent metal band for 12 years. Can you just talk about that decision to, part ways with Arch Enemy and take that leap of faith that you did to embark on this new musical journey?
It's a weird state of mind to be in something for 13 years. I've been doing music professionally. Well, I started when I was a teenager, right? So I've been doing this for like over 20 years. I think it's probably like 23 years, something like that. And I don't know how many other people can say this, but in 23 years, I've switched jobs twice. That's it. So it's a long time to spend in one workplace. I am super proud of everything that I have done in my entire career. I put together a playlist actually on my Spotify that I think there's still some things missing, but it's everything that I've ever done. It comes up to like 15 hours of music or something like that.
Wow.
It's a lot, I put together a playlist of music videos and it's over 60. So I have been working my ass off for a really long time. At a certain point, the music industry starts to feel more industry and less music. And I don't like that. That feels gross to me. That is not why I do this. And so I wanted to be able to reconnect with music and be an artist, I had many paths open in front of me when I was in school. When I was younger, I wanted to be an astronaut, an architect, a marine biologist, because everybody wanted to be a marine biologist, obviously. Professional baseball player. Like, I had so many interests, and I really didn't know that music was going to be the one that took over. But it did. It naturally and organically grew. And I think that I just want to continue that natural growth and evolution. I don't want to stop. I always want to be improving and growing and evolving and making sure that the music remains something that I'm very connected to.
When you announced your exit from Arch Enemy, you almost immediately released the solo single, The Room Where She Died. But then a few months later, you pivoted, you announced the formation of your band, Blue Medusa. Was there something in particular that led you to a pivot from focusing on a solo career to a new band instead?
I signed to do a solo career like 10 years ago. Like, it wasn't even my idea. I like being in bands. I like being part of a collaborative experience. I like finding people that are, as passionate and creative as I am and working with them for a shared common goal. I also realize that generally speaking, bands don't dip their toes into so many ponds the way that I do as a solo artist. If you look at that playlist that I just mentioned, there's everything from black metal to blues in there. It's like a wild range. And so I wanted to be able to have an outlet for both and be able to be like, okay, when I'm going to do something that really doesn't make sense in the context of any band, you're going to find it with Alissa, the solo. Which is also why I wanted to release The Room Where She Died, because that is such a progressive, eclectic song that I thought that it was an interesting way to sort of showcase all these facets of things that I like and that I like doing. I think it was pretty significant in the writing of the character arc. And so then the thing is, I also really, really do have like a strong desire and focus when it comes to being in a band and making heavy music. Most musicians these days are in multiple bands, or they have multiple projects, because a lot of people have a lot of creativity that they want to get out. A lot of people are like, okay, well, I'm in this band, but I also like this. And so it's kind of like that. It's like Blue Medusa is my home for very focused metal music, and Alissa is a completely separate thing, which is my, I compare it kind of to like Devin Townsend and Strapping Young Lad. It's like, I've always really looked up to Devin Townsend and loved all of his projects. And so it's kind of like that.
In Blue Medusa, you have these two amazing guitarists, Alyssa Day and Danny Sophia. Can you talk about how you all came together and what they bring to Blue Medusa from a musical standpoint?
I met Alissa at a Metal Allegiance show that we were both a part of like a year ago or 2 years ago. And we performed a song together and we ended up hanging out backstage and we kept in touch a little bit. And then Danny, I met just like through Instagram because I was like, damn, she's really good. I love her style. Because her style is kind of like jazz meets black metal a little bit, like very interesting. And so we sort of just were like, hey, let's write some songs together. Like at first I was individually with each of them, like, hey, you want to write a song together? You want to write a song together? And then what we were writing felt so good, and it just like flowed so well that I was like, I really like this. And so that actually worked out like better than I could have ever anticipated. It was just a really good connection when it came to personal musical taste and songwriting styles. And so we decided, like, let's do it. Let's write a bunch of songs. Let's make an album.
Why was it important for you to have an all-female band?
That's something I've been dreaming about since I was little. I've always wanted to be on tour, on stage with all women. If I'm not going to do it now, when's it going to happen? Because 10 years goes by like that. I mean, 20 years goes by like that. It goes fast, especially when your life is divided into album cycles, which are typically 2 to 3 years. 10 years is like 3 albums. You're working, you're touring. And next thing you know, your parents are older and your pets have died and your friends have moved on and have babies. And like, it's just, life goes by so quickly when you're stuck in that parallel universe of touring. And so I was like, well, now's the time to do this. And will there be situations where the drummer is not available because she's on another tour, or maybe even one of the guitarists is not available because she's on another tour? For sure that's going to happen. And that's okay. I want everyone to feel totally free and unrestricted because I want to feel free and unrestricted, So I want to make sure that other people are given that same set of standards that I want for myself. And so I'm sure it'll happen, but that's okay. I have lots of friends who are excellent musicians who will step on stage with us. I've already spoken to all of them. And I think it's just going to be a lot of fun to finally make that little childhood dream of mine become a reality.
And speaking of excellent musicians, I see your shirt. You have Nita Strauss on your shirt.
Yeah.
One of the greatest guitarists out there. And you collaborated with her. Did that song, anything about working with her, maybe inspire you to take this new leap in your career?
Absolutely. It's amazing how many people I have met that told me, I never heard of Arch Enemy until I saw The Wolf You Feed with Nita Strauss. And I was like, yeah, it's a great song. I love it too, It's like, that happens a lot. And so the producer that I'm working with for Blue Medusa is named Kyle Odell, and he also produced The Wolf You Feed. So that's how I met him. And I was really impressed with him because when we did The Wolf You Feed, the initial sort of layout for the song that I was given, I recorded it, but it was like a little bit low for me. Every singer has their kind of their Goldilocks zone, when it comes to their voice. And so this one was cool. I could sing it, tell me everything, something like that. But it was a little low, so it sounded like a little laid back. And there's a key change at the end of the song. And the key change, Kyle and Nita as well, they heard it and they were like, you know what, she sounds more powerful when the key is higher. So I wonder if we should actually raise the whole key of the song so that her voice sits in that powerful range throughout the entire song and then goes even more powerful in the key change at the end. And I thought it was very observant that Kyle noticed that because I was already feeling that too. And I like when producers recognize that human vocal cords are not something that you can, there's no tuning pegs, there's no string gauge. You can't change it. I have a huge range, right? I can sing a lot of different notes, low and high, but the ones that sound the best are within a specific range. And it's important to recognize that you can choose different strings, different guitars, different keys for instruments, but you can't really change it for the voice, I really appreciated that he understood that about vocalists and respected it enough to alter the key of the song. And that's pretty normal to do, but it wasn't something that I had ever experienced before. And so I felt like I was able to really express myself vocally in that song, not in any small part because of the fact that it was adapted to my natural range. And so I really liked that. And then the music video that we filmed for The Wolf You Feed was shot by Vicente Cordero, who also shot the video for Checkmate. And so I met Vicente through doing that music video, and it was such a fun experience that we ended up partnering together now for Checkmate as well. So yeah, there was actually a lot of connections there.
Checkmate, the lead single from Blue Medusa. Can you talk about that song, not just from a lyrical standpoint, but just the decision to introduce the band with that particular track as the lead single?
Yeah, I mean, that was actually the first song that I wrote with Blue Medusa, so it has a special place in my heart because it was the first. And so that's kind of the main reason that I went with that as the first single, because, yeah, it was like a personal reason, like I wrote that first. I remember how cool it was to be flowing in this zone, in this creative zone, and being like, ooh, okay, I really like how this is sounding. I like where this is going. So I wanted to share that also. And it's also, I think, kind of like when I released The Room Where She Died, I was like, here's the palette. Here's all the colors I'm going to paint with. And I feel like with Checkmate, it's similar, where it's like, here's a wide, spectrum of colors that we plan on painting with. And so, the chorus is probably the most uplifting chorus that we have. A lot of the other ones are much darker than that. So I kind of like the idea of going out with something kind of varied at first, I guess. But also, I mean, people that have been following me for a long time know that's just who I am. I like doing a lot of different things with my voice. I like doing that. I don't want to just paint with one color. I like to be a rainbow. So so that's why we went with Checkmate.
Do you have a timeline maybe for an album?
It's very commonly said in the industry, and I'm sure you've also heard this, once you release an album, it's dead in the water. Like, it's unfortunate, but it's so much about the lead up to the album, and once you release it, it's like over. Like, and it's so sad to think about that, because it didn't used to be that way, obviously, but it really is the kind of thing where it's like, once you release it, it's out, start writing the next album, go on tour, do this. Like, it's just so nonstop. And so I want to enjoy this. I want to enjoy this first Blue Medusa album, and I want to enjoy the process of introducing the music to the world. And so for that reason, we're going to do single releases over the course of the year.
And you're going to take the stage later this year. I know you have a couple of your initial gigs. I think it's Louder Than Life and Aftershock, two of the biggest rock festivals in the United States. What are you looking forward to about just taking the stage for the first time with Blue Medusa?
I mean, I'm definitely excited, definitely nervous. But also I've played thousands of shows in my life. It's funny how the biggest shows that a band plays, like festivals, in front of hundreds of thousands of people or tens of thousands of people, you don't have a sound check. You don't see the stage before you walk out there. It's always trial by fire at those festivals. That's kind of one of the reasons that I love them so much, because it's like a very unique experience. When you're on a tour, every show that you put on is unique and different because it's in a different city, a different venue, a different audience, but they can sort of blur together. But festivals, I feel they always stand out in my memory as a unique experience, also just because they're frequently outdoors, so there's like, oh yeah, it was raining that day, or oh, we had the sunset during our set, or whatever. Like, you remember things like that. Yeah, I think it's going to be a great way to introduce the live show, and we're very excited to be playing both of those.
I'm a longtime vegetarian myself, 25 years vegetarian, and I've always admired your vegan lifestyle and your advocacy for animal rights. And for those who are watching this who are less familiar with your background, can you talk about why those aspects of your life are so important to you?
I mean, I was raised in a vegetarian household, so I have never eaten meat. My whole family was vegetarian and mostly are now vegan. I was the first one in my family to go vegan, and I did this in the 90s, so it's not part of any trend or any, I didn't just see it on TikTok. Like, I did this a long time ago. I will always be vegan because my ethics are unwavering. I'm not going to suddenly be okay with hurting others. If somebody goes vegan or vegetarian for health reasons, which is also perfectly valid, there might be a moment where their health is okay and they don't want to do it anymore. But for me, I enjoy the health benefits, but the real reason lies in ethics. And so that's not going to change. I have been steadfast in this my entire life. We live in a time where there's so much going on. There's so many awful things happening in the world that I understand that it's easy for someone to have cause exhaustion and just be like, well, I can't care about this because I care about this. And I want to just say it's like perfectly possible to care about more than one thing. And it's also valid if you're exhausted and you don't want to hear about it. That's okay too. For me personally, it's important to try to be the best person that I can be in every aspect. So I want to be the best version of a vocalist that I can possibly be, but I also want to be the best version of a daughter and a friend and a girlfriend. And, you know, like I want to do all of these things to the best of my abilities. And I feel like being like a human being on Earth, the best that we can do is minimize harm. And I found a really easy way to do that, which is by being vegan. And for other people, if it's really difficult for them to do it and they can only do it like once a week or whatever, like that's still good. You know, they're still making a difference. I think that they should be applauded for that. But for me, I couldn't not be vegan. I can't do it. Like, I don't want to kill animals.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. People have like developed opinions about the word vegan, but like when I went vegan, like nobody knew what that word meant. I didn't even say it. I would just say, I have food allergies, because nobody knew what it meant. And the core of it is I don't want to kill animals. People, you know, take issue with that a lot, but I just find that weird because I'm not taking issue with anything that they're doing. I'm just being myself and living my life and trying not to kill animals. So it's interesting when you live in a world where trying to not kill animals makes people hate you.
Yeah.